Hey Sheetal.
Hi.
Welcome.
Hello. Feels like we're doing the movie again.
Yeah, I just wanted to very quickly talk to you about your acting career.
Okay.
And just get, a sense of...
My career, it sounds like I don't have one yet.
Well, you know what I mean, in the terms of,
Feels like
it is a
you're
career before you're making a lot of money too, you know what I mean?
Yes, I guess.
And so what I wanted to do was basically figure out, what it takes. And I wanted to start with the idea of training.
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk a little bit about...
I think training is probably one of the most important things that you need to do and continue to do it. I think that a lot of people don't go to school. And I think, it's funny, I heard Ian McKellen speak about acting. And he was very interesting in saying, in England, we have great directors. And in America, you have great teachers. And so listening to that, it's interesting, to act by doing and to have constantly doing. And he grew up kind of on the stage and with directors, and I can understand that and appreciate that. And he's clearly amazing. So I think that that's important. I think, for me at least, what's worked is to have something to fall on when you are like, what do you do with this? And you have a certain series of steps to go through every time you work on a character, or even some small thing. And I definitely think actual doing it is so important. You can't sit in a class all the time either. You need to be doing stuff. But for me at least, it's worked to always be coaching or in a class or honing what we do, because I really don't think you stop growing. And I think every day that you work on your craft, you're going to get better. And you see that with actors all the time, even the greats. Their work has only gotten better, even from people who are just great from the very beginning. You hope that you're going to get better.
But does it teach you how to work with people? Does training teach you how to work with people? You work with different directors. I remember on set once when I was trying to tell you something, you said, no, don't tell me how to do it. Just tell me what you want done.
Yes.
And I'm sure you run into other directors. And I was surprised when you said in LA you ran into a situation where the actors didn't know what to do and were sort of guided step by step through everything.
It's interesting to see how different people obviously work. And I did work on something where I was really surprised to see an actor comfortable with the director literally physically showing everything that they wanted them to do, saying it, doing it, put your head like this, do that, move your hand. I mean, that was a very new thing for me to see. I've never in my life saw something like that, and I haven't seen it since then, actually. But, and they were okay with it, and it seemed to work, and they were good, and that's fine, I guess. That works for them. But, in terms of keeping it organic, it's hard to... I know sometimes people can't find the right words, and they can't find the right kind of way to explain something, so they end up just like this, and they'll do it, And that's just easier, I think. But I think it's really important to have directors that know what the process is that actors go through, so that they can hopefully find the right thing to say, and that is not easy. I mean, I've worked with some very well-known directors and some not so, whatever the case, maybe everyone's different, and it's always hard to find the right thing to say.
And have you been exposed to now, I think the new thing that actors are having to deal with a lot is the idea of working on a green screen, if you will, in the context of having a green screen or working with effects, where a lot of the stuff isn't there.
Right.
It just isn't there. You're standing in front of a green screen and you're talking with this character that doesn't exist.
Yes.
And it's going to be composited in post.
I haven't worked with special effects, but I've actually worked with that on movies where the actor isn't there. So it's kind of funny, working on small films and people have to leave and this and that, and you want to tear your hair out. It's not their fault. People knew their schedules and it just got late and there's nothing they can do, and they've had to leave, and I'm literally speaking to a person that has given me nothing, or a reader who's like, da, 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 with their book in front of them, and it's like this insanely emotional scene or whatever. So, yeah, you have to create it in whatever, so whether it's an effect or it's a scene. You hope ideally that doesn't happen, and you always work with people and things that are giving you something, but that doesn't happen, even with people. Even if it's not an effect movie, it happens, where you're just not lucky enough to have the actual person there.
So in terms of, let's say, an acting exercise that might help you, I mean, what tools do you use, or do you still even use any of the stuff you did in your acting class?
I would fall on my face. I mean, I might still be falling on my face. I don't know, but at least I feel like I have some control over what I'm doing. Yeah, I have to use it. I mean, there's certain things, and I remember my teachers telling me this when I was in school, which makes sense now because it's been some time, is that there will be certain emotions and certain behaviors that will start to just be there because you've done it for so long and they're right there. And there'll be some that you always have to work for. And I've learned that sometimes it's easier for me, and I don't need to do a lot of work to get to a certain place for some things because I've done it enough and I just have one trigger and it's there. Mm-hmm. Or sometimes I really need to do the work where I'm at home and really do my homework, the stuff that I did in school, and like plotting it out, doing, point by point. And, I studied at Strasbourg, so it's very method-based, and all of those tools, I sit down and do it. I sit there and go through all those exercises.
So there's a lot to the craft of acting. I mean,
yeah.
And there's, you're continually growing, even as you're working, you pick up things from different actors. What about the business of acting? I mean, how you moved out to LA and, auditioning. What do you feel about auditioning?
So different in LA than it is in New York. And I remember people telling me that before I left, and I remember people telling me that when I went to LA, how different it would be. And it's sad that it's so different, in my opinion, because it shouldn't be so different. I think it should be about the work, obviously, in my ideal sense, and you should be able to go in there and do that. But unfortunately, I think it's just a different, I think, I don't know really how to explain it. It's a sensibility, and I think that LA has taught me a lot about the business, which I wouldn't have thought about before, and I think that being exposed to people that maybe have more film in their life and TV than theater, not that there's not great theater there, brings a different thing to the table. And I feel very fortunate to have come with a little bit more theater background, because I do think that acting-wise, theater is really one of the purest places to really exercise that, whereas I think TV is more of a writer's medium and film is more of a director's medium. I think the theater is really about the actor more so than anything, if that's even possible. And so it's trying to negotiate all that, and I think, I come to New York and I audition here, and it's always different for me again, and now it's kind of, I don't know, I haven't figured it out. And I don't get, most of the stuff that I auditioned for, so I don't really know. I have been fortunate enough to had an agent for a while. I've switched agents, here and there. But, they really need to get you, and I think the most important thing is not like which agency you're at or, what the name is or whatever the case may be. It's really about the specific person seeing you for the work that you can do and seeing the direction of what you would like your career to take you to be the same as yours. And I have come into a lot of kind of hitting heads with certain people that don't get what I'm about, and unfortunately haven't been able to work with a lot of people just because they just think about things differently, and I'm probably wrong, and I'm probably making things more difficult for me, but I know for myself, I'm not going to be, I need to be able to sleep at night. I need to know what I'm doing is what for me, where it comes from, and stays pure to that. And it's been hard. I struggle all the time with it. I still struggle with it, and I don't think I'm going to stop. Just being who I am and coming from where I come and looking the way I look, I think I'll always struggle with it.
Well, let's get past the struggle. For a moment.
Okay.
Imagine, if you will, your perfect dream project. Who would you have as the cast members? Who would you have as a writer, as a director? Do you have any and the genre of the film?
I hate sounding like this, but I really love so many different types of things. I can just throw out some names of people that I like, that at some point would be so lucky if I ever worked with them. I just had the opportunity to work with Albert Brooks, which, to me, he's a legend. And to have him so early in my life, I feel, hopefully if I have more of a career, has been such a gift. Because he is one of the few, not that I know lots of famous people, but people that really have kept it about the work. And working with him and the way he works and the way he directs was so inspiring, really, that every time I'm frustrated or this or that, and I think about his career, and we talked a lot about kind of where he's come from and the experiences he's had, and listening to his stories, was like, okay, relax. relax. It's okay. It's going to be fine. Albert Brooks said that, or he did that, or he went through this, or whatever the case may be, you know, it's going to be okay. You know, it's one of those things where just remembering what's important and not trying to get caught up in the good or the bad. It's really about filtering all of that stuff outside of you that are telling you things that don't matter, good or bad, and just about keeping true to what's important to you. And that's going to be different for everybody.
It is a journey for everybody, and everybody does have a different journey, but everybody does have it, and everybody does has all of these components in it, the struggle, the, you know, so on and so forth. But wishing you a very happy journey.
Thank you. I hope so.
And hope to see you in a lot more films.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.